See, I knew that's why I was gonna like this. Was there a moment during rehearsals or performances of Dogfight, hey, let's go, that really stuck with you? Dogfight, anything that sticks with me. There's a lot that sticks with me on that project. Okay, there was, okay, so, all right, so there's a moment in the show where we all walk to the front of the stage and we have a quick change. For some reason, my boys were really good at this quick change and I was terrible at it. And I'm talking, it was like a 10-second quick change going from full uniform to civvies, right? And the fellas killed it every time. And I was literally like 2 articles of clothing behind them every single time. To the point where Justin and Benj and Joe were just laughing at me, and we just ran it. And I was getting pretty hot by the end. I was like, fellas, I don't know what you guys are doing that's making this go so fast. And Joe from like the 20th row would be like, Josh, like maybe keep some buttons buttoned and just pull the shirt over your head, or like, I'd be like, no, Joe, that's not working, man. And to this day, on our text thread, the boys will still be like, yo, you remember when you couldn't change your clothes? Like when that was like the bane of your existence? And I do, hence this question. That is what sticks out to me. Okay, will we see more of Manny on Avid Elementary? Let's go. And how did it feel to join the iconic TV Sweater Club? You'll definitely see more of Manny, I hope so. We were trying to figure out a little bit of something recently and we couldn't figure it out with the schedule. But Quinta's my homie for life, you know, that cast I love, and Chris and Tyler, and you know, we just had a really, really good time. And my boy Ben, who's on the district with me, and Kimmy, we had a lot of really good laughs, and it's such an honor to be joining them. You know, like they have something so special over there, and it was just such an easy entry into there for them, just because it's funny and well written, and they have such a beautiful world that they've created. And it's such an honor for me to just be a part of it. And you know, joining the iconic TV Sweater Club. One, I didn't know that I was in the iconic TV Sweater Club until just now, and I'm very honored. Thank you so much for having me as part of the club. We also had the Chain Club, which was very cool to be a part of, and I love that moment that that we're hanging the chain at the end after the Big T's leaves the district and decides not to join us, and we're just sadly looking at the chain. That was such a funny moment. No, I definitely have some of those sweaters in my closet right now. I've worn them for a couple things, and every time I put it on, man, I feel like I'm putting on my Manny armor. You know, I'm putting on my Manny cape, which is very cool. Okay, the other two, come on. So the other two ended with Cook Brooke wearing an engagement ring. It only says Brooke on this card, but I cannot refer to her as Brooke. That's either Brookie Moss or Crook Brooke. So the other two ended with Brooke wearing an engagement ring. What do you think she and Lance are up to nowadays? What does their happy ending look like? Oh, sweet. Helena York is truly one of my best friends. We had so much fun with these two crazy cats. I'm so happy they ended up with an engagement ring. What do they have to nowadays? I'm sure they got a couple kids, you know, I'm sure they got a couple little babies running around. You know, they're probably really stylish little kids, you know, wearing sneakers that you can draw on, you know, with Sharpie, wearing sneakers that have a coin shelf in there, so everyone, you know, they want to look like $1 million, but now you can sound like $1. Edible shoes. That's so funny. All the ideas Lance had have come to fruition, which is part of Chris and Sarah's genius. Like the see-through clothes, the paneling, that was on a runway. There's a Nike shoe, I believe, that has a pocket in it, so that, like, a picture I think I saw had Cheez-Its in the pocket, which is genius. But there's a pocket shoe. What was another one? There was another thing that they came up with on the show that ended up in real life. So just credit to Chris and Sarah and Jill, our costume designer, for just being so smart what does their happy ending look like? I don't know, man. I think that they're just made for each other, you know? So I hope that they're happy. I know that they're happy because me and Helena are very happy. So I'm sure that the two characters are also very happy. All right, was Lance's penchant for dabbing scripted? Or did you get to pick that signature move in the other two? No, that is all Chris Kelly and Sarah Schneider. It says literally Lance dabs in the script. It also what was that meme that was going on? Damn Daniel, that was them. All those, you know, honestly, all of Lance's quips were them. You know, like they're just really, really smart, and they find that perfect line of something that's like just out of the zeitgeist to make it funny again, and that's where Lance sits, where he might be a little behind, you know, but he doesn't care that he's behind, you know, because he just cares about what makes him laugh. So I really appreciate Chris and Sarah for that, because I would read those scripts and just laugh my behind off, you know, just cracking up and seeing whatever antics they were going to put Drew in, you know, Carrie, and, you know, seeing whatever antics they were going to put Cookbrook in. And so that was, but I will tell you, now it has become a signature move of mine. Whenever anybody says that they happen to watch the other two, I always give them a quick dab, and that's my test, you know. Be like, did you really watch it? Be like, oh, you watched it. Okay, you watched it. All right, how was it entering the comedy world of Tim Robinson in Friendship? Oh, man, it was an honor, you know. I mean, Tim's just such a sweet dude. And I would always laugh because he's got a real sweet demeanor to him. You know, he's not the thing that he plays until they call action. And then, like, his first choice was always like, "Rah!" And he'd just run into the scene. And it was always so much fun to watch. Then they'd call cut, and then you just kind of like smile, and just kind of, you know, see him kind of thinking it through, and you just really see the genius that he is at play. But, you know, the coolest thing about him is that he's just such a sweet guy, and working with Paul was so fun, and Kate was so fun, like just these legends of the game. And we were, you know, upstate shooting this little thing, you know, and working with my guy Andy DeYoung, who I loved. I worked with him for the first time on the other two, and Andy's just such a great guy, and we had a really good time making that, you know. And but how was it joining the Tim Robinson world? An honor, you know. Anybody that I told that I was doing, you know, I'm doing this little thing in this little movie called Friendship, and like, the Tim Robinson? I'm like, yeah, you know, and just always got people hyped, and that's a very, very cool thing to when you make the folks that you're telling geek out, then you start to geek out. So, who would have the easiest / hardest time living in Port Wayne? Manny, Giorgio, Lance, Pug, or Adrian Chase? This is awesome to think about. Who would have the easiest time? The easiest, I think, would be Lance. I think Lance would enjoy himself. Maybe him and Cook Brook have a little quiet cottage in Port Wayne. Some babies running around, you know, just living life. Always looking at the positive, you know, and taking care of each other over there. Who would have the hardest time is what's interesting. I feel like Adrian Chase might have the hardest time just because he's a murderer. So I don't know how him and Sheriff Mark would get along, because Mark doesn't even carry a weapon. You know, like, I think that he would struggle with such a conniving dude. But I mean, maybe Adrian is in his next chapter, you know? Like, he did spend his entire life trying to revenge his father's death against the Green Arrow. So maybe now, after he did and blew up the island, he could just secretly go to Port Wayne and Dr. Best would help him with his wounds, help him move forward with his life. It's really funny picturing all these different characters in Port Went and what they would do. Giorgio would open a restaurant for sure and maybe start like a child hockey team or youth hockey team. Pug would do fantastic there. He'd start a law division and protect all the superheroes of Port Went. Manny would do just fine. He would start working at the school with Louisa. Maybe they would start something romantic. Oh yeah, this would be a very fun exercise to play with. Okay, what stands out looking back at the play episode of the other two, about the episode itself and filming it? Oh, that's great. What stands out about that episode? I mean, I will tell you that what was really funny was that we had the proper awning outside. Like we had the proper, and very sweetly we had many people come to the box office and ask if there were tickets available and when was opening. And an episode like that, when you're shooting it, right, you're in the theater. So we were sitting in the space and you're just kind of watching the episode unfold. And that's what would happen a lot of times on the other two, was that I would just sit back as a fan and just watch Ken work, watch Molly work, and just, it was always such, so many antics were going on in this world that would make me giggle to myself, that in an episode like that, you're just laughing at the hilarity of it. And Chris and Sarah just did such a good job of finding the line and tiptoeing on that line and dancing on that line. And it was just so well done. I just have so much love and respect for them. And that play episode was pretty fantastic. What do you think Pug is up to in the MCU? Oh, my man Augustus Pugliese. What's my man Pug up to these days? I mean, I'm sure he's still working at the law firm. I'm sure he's taking care of something right now, So his origin story is that he got saved by Spider-Man while he was being a bouncer at a club, and he got jumped. Spider-Man comes and saves him, so that's when he decides to dedicate himself to superhuman law. So I would assume that him and Nikki are still best buds. Him and Jen are still best buds. I'm sure the three of them are having a cocktail right now, talking about her relationship with the Daredevil. I'm probably asking her questions, how they're doing. Are they still maybe together? Do they have a plan for the future? I'm sure that he's still a very dedicated cat, and making sure that anybody that knows that needs his services, he will take care of them. My man Pug. Here we go. These are really fun questions, you guys. Thank you very much. It was fun to go down memory lane.